Hi guys, and welcome to our 7th Wilson's ingredient box. We're going to cook a beautiful risotto of white onion, broad beans and black truffle. We're going to finish that with some local pecorino. You're on the side, you're going to have a whole steamed globe artichoke finished with some garlic butter and then a little chestnut mushroom custard tart which we serve in the restaurant. So let's see what's in our bag. So the base of the risotto, obviously the arborio rice over here. You then have a beautiful vegetable nage made with the peelings of vegetables, roasted and then steamed. This really luxurious white onion puree made by sweating tons of white onions down and blending them together. Your local pecorino, which is delicious. And this guy, the star of the show, black truffle from Manjiump in Western Australia. These are genetically exactly the same as Perigord truffles. They come from my friend Zach Frost, who owns a company called Wiltshire Truffles. And I'm really excited to share these with you today. This is our lovely globe artichoke. We are going to steam this whole so you can eat it just by tearing these off and dragging them through your teeth with some lovely garlic butter. It's a beautiful way of eating this very pretty vegetable. Over here, this little box, we have our chestnut mushroom custard, which you're just going to heat up and pour into these incredibly dainty little tarts made with Friedrich pastry in the restaurant. Over here, a shallot. This will be the base of the risotto. I'll show you how I like to dice my shallots. And over here, a load of these beautiful broad beans, which we picked today from Mark Cox's garden at Barleywood. So we've got an array of deliciousness over here. Let's pop over to the kitchen and bring it all together. So let's just go through a couple of bits of equipment that might be useful today. So first things first, a very sharp knife. It's always important to have a good utility knife for chopping, slicing, all of that. You can pick them up relatively cheaply. We're going to slice some things that need to be quite precise. So make sure it's lovely and sharp. Got a little spatula, or Maurice, if you like, in French. A nice heavy base saucepan, frying pan, excuse me. Our wonderful steaming rig. So chinois inside a pan with a lid on it. Over here, a little saucepan with a ladle. And that's all going to come in useful today. So guys, first things first, we're going to start steaming our artichoke. It's going to take about 20 minutes to cook. We're not going to rush it, and it doesn't have to be served piping hot. But we're just going to get it going now on our steaming rig. So pop this guy over on the heat, and you want a good amount of heat going through. I'm just going to pop the bottom off here. They're quite tough, so be careful when you're cutting it, like that. And we're just going to pop him in here. You can pretty much forget about him now. That'll be ready in a bit. So next, guys, we want to start podding our broad beans. This part of the process is called mise en place. Because this dish has to be finished at the last minute, you want to make sure all of the little jobs that you might need to do are ready to go. So all you're going to do with your broad beans, get a little bowl and open them up. Now I know a lot of people peel the skins off again. I'm not going to here because these were picked out of the ground today and they're super tender. Just go through all the broad beans like that and just reserving those lovely little pods of goodness. Next, we're just going to start warming up our nage. You don't want to boil it, you just want to keep it warm. We're going to slowly add this to the risotto. You want to add it bit by bit, so it's important to have a ladle so you can just tick it over like that. So just pop your beautiful nage into the pan and start it on the heat. All right, guys, so a fundamental kitchen skill that you learn as a young cook, how to dice an onion or a shallot. Take it easy, take your time, and make sure your knife's slice and sharp. So the geometry of an onion, you have the root and you have the stem, okay? You always want to keep the root on, because what it does is it holds the onion together as you're chopping it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut it down there, take the top off, peel it back, slice along that way, and then down that way, and then across that way. What that will do is it'll give you perfect squares of shallot. Top comes off. Peel this off so you can see He's all staying together. Just touch the knife up, make sure he's ready to go. So yeah, this is where you're going in like that, you always get your finger there, so just be careful. Second cut is going to go down like that. Now, this is the last cut, and this is what's going to finish the product. So you want to hold it nice and tight. These are one of the fundamentals of cooking, getting your basics right. So making sure you've taken time with your shallots, making time with your sauces. You get this part right, the rest of it normally follows through quite well. So the process that we're going to do here might be quite different to what a lot of people do. The way I like to cook a risotto is toast my rice first in olive oil, then add the onion, sweat the onion with the rice before I start adding any liquid, okay? So at this point, get an olive oil, a good cooking olive oil. I'm using this one here. And liberally oil the pan, right? It's quite a lot of oil. You're almost going to deep fry it, but what it does is it releases this lovely, like, toasted rice flavor, which adds such a nice nutty characteristic to the risotto. So, got your rice here. This is weighed out, so it should be perfect, I hope. Open the bag. Don't add any salt to it at this point and cause the rice to seize up a bit and not take on liquid as it should. Now, a risotto is really important. You have to continually move it. What that does is it rubs the grains of rice together like that, and they release their starch. Now that's what makes a risotto delicious and creamy, okay? So our oil's getting hot. We're just gonna pop our rice in, give it a little shake, and straight away, it's starting to fizz. This is a good thing. Don't be shy. Obviously you don't want it to go brown, but if you keep on smelling it, yeah, that's amazing. Right, so now I'm gonna just add my shallot. Whoopsie. So keep an eye on your onion, or your shallot, sorry. You'll notice that it can catch on the side. You don't want that to happen. You want to sweat your shallot so it's translucent and it's lost all of its color. That's when you get that sweet, delicious onion taste to it. Be aware that when you start adding your stock, you can't stop. So it will reduce the temperature of the pan and start it all ticking over. So I'm going to start off with one ladle. Didn't do that very well, did I? And that will start slowing down now. So I'm just going to pop it on a slightly more delicate heat over here. Another ladle of stock. This is just going to slow the cooking process down and gently allow that risotto to start absorbing all of this beautiful vegetable marge, okay? Lovely. So you just want a few bubbles at a time. Not going too hard, not you know, bubbling away. You just want it to take its time. We want a nice, soft, gentle risotto, not something that sticks together and is firm. So it's, you know, nice and fluid and loose and delicious. All right, let's check our artichoke. Oh yeah, he's getting there. So to check your artichoke, you just want to make sure that this part here is soft, which it absolutely is not. So back on the heat, and we're going to leave him going for a while longer yet. I'm just continually stirring my risotto, and I'm watching those grains start to puff up a bit. But you don't want to just leave it and forget about it, otherwise it'll cook unevenly and won't get that delicious, unctuous creaminess. All right guys, so I'm just going to knock up a quick garlic butter, but you're going to have this made for you in a bag. So a few cloves of garlic, I'm not going to be shy. It's a nice little trick. I'll show you how I make a quick garlic puree. So bash the garlic down like that. Right, roughly chop your garlic. Don't worry, it doesn't look very pretty at the moment. Now this is the trick. A little bit of good quality coarse sea salt over the top of the garlic. And then with a knife that you're not too attached to, you are going to make a puree by doing this. So I'm crushing the garlic with the knife, and it's being rubbed against the salt. So you've got a seasoned garlic puree. Pop a good amount of butter into a pan. Let it come up to a temperature. When it starts foaming, add your garlic to it and take it off the heat. Then we'll pour that over the artichoke when it's ready. Always keeping an eye on my risotto. A little bit of salt at this point, not too much though. So cooking a risotto, it's really, really tricky to do. A lot of restaurants, you'll go to a restaurant and you'll have the vegetarian main course, and I often do that. And it's so unbelievably disappointing because people just don't care. Cooking a risotto well is so much harder than cooking a piece of sea bass or a piece of venison. It really takes constant attention and understanding of the different elements you're putting in there. You've got to bring out so much more flavour and coax these ingredients out together. You know, it's your responsibility to get it right. So don't forget about it. Don't mistreat it. Gonna check my artichoke one more time. We start getting ready to start bringing this all together. So you're gonna just have a look at this. Ooh, that's hot. So how do you check an artichoke's cooked? Right. So the way we're gonna eat this, we're not gonna peel it back and be all precious with it. We're just gonna pull off those things, and that gives a bit of the heart on there, and you drag it through your teeth. It's delicious. Yeah. Really, really not far off, but not quite. Now, al dente, not al dente, it's a very expansive subject. I've had risottos in some of the best restaurants in the world, and they are completely inedible. The rice has to be cooked, but it still has to be recognisable as a risotto. So, right, so that is undercooked, but we are getting quite close. A little bit more stock. That's the last of the stock, but don't worry, it will be enough. We're also going to finish this risotto with a puree, which is a great way of adding even more richness to it. Right, risotto is coming on really well. You can see the grains growing in size. Now it's starting, if you look at the texture of the rice, it's starting to stick together. So it's getting a bit closer together. Now, personally, that's not how I like my risotto, but that's fine because we're going to add another liquid to it in a minute. So lovelies, what this is, a puree of white onions, or if you're in a posh restaurant, a souplisse. So lots and lots of onions, sliced thinly, sweated down in their own juices, pureed with a bit of butter. Now, onion and truffle, very, very, very good friends. They've known each other a very long time. They always get along. Add this beautiful puree to my risotto. Mix them in. Whoa. Straight away, you're looking at a completely different product, aren't you? That's just really naughty. This is a really special thing over here. And it's about to get a whole lot more special. So our artichoke, he's ready. I'm just gonna open him up a bit. So really trying to expose that beautiful flour, because that's also gonna hold all the sauce in it when we pour it over. There he is. Pop him back over there, turn the heat off, and we'll come and plate him up in a minute. Okay guys, so we're just gonna heat up our mushroom puree now. So once again, pop it into a container and just pour some boiled water over the top. And what that will do is that'll just heat the puree throughout, okay? Now we're gonna finish the risotto. So it's gently bubbling away over here. We've continually looked after it, nurtured it, encouraged it. It's gone to the best schools. It's gonna be delicious. So broad beans, pop them in. Give them a good mix around, right? Now the residual heat from the risotto is going to cook these beautifully, okay? Now onto the truffle. So we're going to use a little bit of this in the risotto, finish the top of the risotto with it, and put a bit on the tart, okay? It's great when you cook it. It's not like a white truffle, which you don't really cook. You can cook these as well, and they're delicious both ways. So we're gonna utilize all of it. So we're gonna grate about a third of it in, okay? Give it a good mix around, and straight away the room is filled with this aroma. It's just really so much fun. And just enjoy this part of the cooking. This is such a special ingredient. It's so exciting. Ah, look at that, look at that. Wait, just look at that. These perfect little strands of truffle tearing around this risotto. It's creamy, it's rich, and then you've got that lovely freshness from the broad beans. This is such a special thing. So we're going to just grate some of this lovely pecorino. And this pecorino is just going to add a little tang. Our artichoke's ready. Our garlic butter's there. Our mushroom puree's hot. And we've got this stunning risotto that's just desperate to get on a plate and in your belly. So let's pop over, dress all the plates, and have supper.